Why the mall said it, now the mall's no, I do, so.
I don't know where the screen is. It's doing that same thing again.
Oh, right over here. Click on video. There you go. You ready?
It's recording.
7:31 Verizon time. Take it away.
This is the regular meeting of the Land Use Board of the Township of Greenwich. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and in the notice was published in the Express Times and the Star Ledger newspapers. Notice was posted on the municipal bulletin board in the Township Administration Building in the Greenwich Township, New Jersey, and the notice was filed with the Township Clerk. Let's everyone stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now turn the meeting over to Attorney John Drill.
We're gonna swear in a slew of board members. So I'm gonna ask, the easiest way to do this is, can you guys come on up in a line? I'm gonna give you these, so I'm gonna have everyone stand up, raise your right hand, and everyone's gonna read them together. Okay, so Paul Beam. Joe.
Joe.
Chiquillo.
Joe.
I call him
Gives him
Joe.
the-
Joe Fiamma from the seat.
Hold on. Baylor. So Baylor, Beam. Let me give Fiamma to you. There's Fiamma, he was hiding. Sherlaw, Bradlaw, Parker. Sherlaw. Bradlaw.
And you said Dana?
Where's Parker? Here, can
Dana's
you
right
give,
here.
can you give her hers? You can give that to Dana. Look, I gave you the wrong one. Let me have that one back.
Oh, no, you just gotta get this, we all have to read this.
Mark, this is
For these guys.
That's- And last but not least, Bob Graham.
Bob Brand too, okay.
Yeah. Now, when we get to the very end, each one, some of you have different classes than others, so I'm gonna point and you'll each say your class. So everyone raise their hand. Okay? So does everyone swear and affirm? Start reading. I state your name.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully and impartially, justly perform all the duties of the office.
Hold up, ready? Office of Class 4, member of the Land Use Board. Okay, to all the way to the end. According to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Alternate number one board member of the land use board according to the best of my abilities. So help me God.
Class 1 board member of the Land Use Board according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Class 2 board member of the Land Use Board according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Class 4 board member of the Land Use Board according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Mr. Graham.
Alternate 3 board member of the land use board according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Class 3 board member of the Land Use Board according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Alternative number 2 board member of the land use board according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Class 4 board member of the land use board according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, you have set a record for the most number of people ever sworn in at the same time in a board meeting. Can you sign your names to those things? If there's a place for your address, put your address and bring them back to me so I can notarize them. I'll give them to the board secretary and then we can call a roll.
You need a pen?
Yeah, there's one right.
Oh, okay.
I get it passing around.
You're welcome.
We're recording, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Early bird who got the worm on top of it.
Second mouse gets the cheese.
That's true.
Kidding.
Who needs pen?
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You bringing me two?
Yes.
You're the man. Thank you very much. Okay. Secretary, want to call the roll?
Mr. Scuderi,
Here.
Mr. Beam,
Here.
Mr. Chichillo.
Here.
Mr. Baylor.
Here.
Ms. Cullen.
Here.
Mr. Hill,
Here.
Mr. Fiamma.
Yeah.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Bradlaugh.
Here.
Ms. Parker.
Here.
Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Blunt is not here. He did send me notification via email, so does anyone want to make a motion?
To excuse his absence? Second,
Who was it? Oh, okay.
you can say all in favor.
All in favor?
Opposed?
Any opposed?
Any abstention?
Any abstentions?
Okay. So, it's that time, we need to elect a chairperson. But does someone open the floor for nominations? Does someone want to nominate somebody for chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Mark Scary for chairperson.
Are there any other nominations? Going once, going twice, going three times. Nominations are closed. Can you now make a motion to appoint him as chairperson?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mark Scary as chairperson.
Can someone second that?
Second.
Got it.
Roll call on.
Okay.
And just so you know, the regular members, if everyone's here, only the regular members vote, alternates don't vote, but on things like this, just vote. The minutes are gonna reflect only the regular members unless a regular member is missing.
We have a full panel, so like I'm alternate one, so I'm not official.
Correct, but just vote.
So I'm voting for everybody. Everyone's gonna do it.
Right, but in the minutes,
Okay.
only the regular members.
And does Mark vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. It's just, it's
Okay.
just like a nicer thing.
Okay. Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo.
Yes.
Mr. Baylor.
Yes.
Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
Just so you, okay, that's great. Come on up
Thank you.
and assume the duties. Oh, actually, where's his name tag? Oh, over there. Come on, let's bring it up. Do we have something that says chairman?
Not yet.
No, it doesn't say chairman.
All right. Okay.
All right, next will be an election of our vice chairperson. So we need a nomination first,
I'd like to nominate Gary Hill.
right? Any other nominations? Going once, going twice, closing on that. Now we need a motion.
I make a motion to nominate Gary Hill for vice chairperson.
All right, Paul, motion, second,
Second.
Joseph, second. And we'll call the roll.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yeah.
Mr. Chichillo.
Yeah.
Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen.
Yeah.
Mr. Hill.
Yeah.
Mr. Fiamma. Ms. Sherlaw,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
Okay, so teaching moment. We have a 9-member board. And we have 4 alternates. The 9 members vote on. Technically, the name of the board is the Greenwich Township Land Use Board. Technically, this board is a planning board, which also has the powers of a board of adjustment. When you act as a planning board, you got 9 regular members, so those 9 votes are recorded. And you need a majority of whatever quorum you have. So if you have 9, you need 5 of 9. If you had 8, you need 5 of 8. If you had 7, you need 4 of 7, et cetera, et cetera. When the board acts as a board of adjustment for D variances, not C variances, for D variances, the class 1 and the class 3 cannot participate. So that you don't pick up alternates to fill in. It lowers the board down to 7 on purpose, because to get a D variance, you need a minimum of 5 votes. And if you And if the municipal land use law, if you allowed alternates to fill in, basically it makes it too easy to get a use variance. And I just wanted to, I figured I might as well say it now, beginning of the year. Every now and then I do that.
Perfect. So we do same process all the way down? Yep. All right, next we'll be looking for nominations to appoint the board attorney.
Motion, John Joe.
John Drill, any other appointments? Seeing none, we'll need a motion.
Motion.
Motion, Gary Hill. Need a second?
I'll second.
Can she second alternate? I'll second. I'll second.
Can I just, so if we're alternates, we make motions?
Nope.
You can't do anything.
You can ask questions.
I do that
You-
well.
You can participate in discussions,
Yeah.
but no motions, no voting. And that's actually a great question, a great question also, because if you have a D variance, unlike C variances, unlike non-D variances, right? You got the 9-member board, you have alternates there, they participate. In the D variance setting, when the class 1 and class 3 can't participate, it's not that they're not allowed to ask questions. Technically, they can't say anything. Right, they can go home. That's right. And if any of the 7 are missing, that's when the alternates fill in on that.
You do have one on the 7 list. Right, we have, Jeremy Blunt.
Yes, so alternate number 1, your vote actually does count. Don't you feel better now?
I do.
All right, so we'll vote on the motion to appoint Mr. Drill as board attorney.
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor.
Yeah.
Ms. Cullen.
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
All right, next order of business, appointment of engineering expert. Need a appointment?
I assume that someone's gonna appoint, I believe it should be
Bryce
Bryce
Good.
Good, I believe.
that's unsure of his last name.
Bryce Good.
Good,
I'll make that motion, please.
All right, anybody, any other appointments? All right, so we'll need a motion.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Call the vote.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam, Mr. Chichillo, Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
Motion passes. Next is appointment of planning expert. Need an appointment?
I assume that's gonna be Kendra Lely.
I will appoint Kendra Lilly, or nominate Kendra Lilly.
All right, any other nominations? Seeing none? Need a motion?
I will motion Kendra Lilly.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma.
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Graham.
All right, next order of business, appointment of board secretary. I will nominate Danielle Kelly. I need a motion. All right, so I'll make that motion. Gary, second. We'll call the roll.
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fama,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
Motion passes. Next order of business, selection of newspapers for publication of legal notice.
I'm just gonna ask Mr. Bean, did the township committee designate the Express Times and the Star Ledger?
That is correct.
And that's,
And my question that,
Yeah.
Are they gonna go electronic completely this year with that?
so right now, because the Star Ledger is ceasing publication paper as of February, the legislature adopted a bill, the governor signed it, and you still send the notices in, and this is temporary now till March. I guess they're gonna see what happens, and they can publish it electronically. The League of Municipalities and the New Jersey Institute of Municipal local government attorneys, we're pushing for a bill that would let townships put the notices on their website instead of having to pay to now put them in the newspaper if the newspaper's only gonna be electronic in any event.
Right,
But the newspaper still, they still have a big lobby,
gotcha, okay,
so let's see what happens.
okay. But yes, they are the two newspapers.
All right, so I will make a motion to use the Express Times and Star Ledger as in past practice. I'll need a second.
I'll second.
Gary, call the roll.
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen, Mr. Fiamma,
Yeah.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
Motion passes. Next order of business, approval of calendar for 2025. Regular meetings, 1/9, 2/13, 3/13, 4/10, 5/8. June the 12th, 7/10, 8/7, 9/11, 10/9, 11/13, 12/11. Reorganization for next year, 2026 is January the 8th. I'll make a motion to adopt,
What date?
26th, I say.
Yeah, that's for
January
next
8th,
year.
2026 is the reorg meeting.
Yeah, what date? January 8th or January 9th?
It says January 8th on this.
I know, let's just check.
January
Yeah,
9th
this
on
is
the
good.
ordinance. Yeah, let's
I know,
check it,
Let's
yep.
just check.
January 8th is the second Thursday.
Okay,
Alright.
so it's January 8th, 2026, correct?
Correct.
These are all second things.
Oh,
Yes.
Quick list, but I don't know how you sign all these, I just corrected. this.
Okay.
Let me have that. There you go.
All right.
Whoops, I took this one from you by accident, let me put it back in the stack.
so you need a second.
I need a second to adopt this calendar. Gary, roll call?
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo,
Yes.
Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen, Mr. Fama,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
These are all notarized.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Next order of business, authorization to charge for meeting minutes, agendas, and meeting notices.
Yeah, just for everyone's information. For as long as I've been doing this, no one's ever asked for one of these, but that's what we do. No one's ever asked,
I was gonna ask, are we charging the appropriate,
no one's asked for paper. They, asked for electronically, just,
do we still charge?
no, it wouldn't be nice.
And it's
Could you?
5 cents a
Maybe, but
page.
Your residents want something sent electronically, you're gonna charge them? You really wanna do that?
And you can do the checking.
But I think you should adopt this resolution in case they want it in paper.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second, Brian? Roll call?
Mr. Scuderi.
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo, Mr. Baylor, Ms. Cullen,
Yes.
Mr. Fama,
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh, Ms. Parker, Mr. Graham.
All right, last order of business, adoption of rules of procedures.
And what the board secretary has done is taken the 2025 rules. No one has made any suggested revisions or anything like that. And adopt them as the rules for this year. And what I'm gonna do is I'm changing, is we have the 2025 minutes in front of us, just for the resolution purposes. So we're gonna ask Danielle tomorrow just to put 2026 instead of 2025 on them, and on the resolution also 2026 instead of 2025.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you this.
Even though we're in 25,
There, take that.
sorry.
And you can either, if you want me to, if
And we'll
you,
just
Mark
this
wants
one
to.
here.
But we are in 25.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why
Yeah,
don't we-
oh, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry. You know what?
Oh, wait a minute. what?
Me too. I was waiting for him to
Already
finish and I was,
Okay,
So I got a clean one, I'll charge.
yeah,
We're good.
All right,
we're good.
here, I can
Get
give you a
the
clean one.
I
motion.
have a clean one. Yep.
Okay,
Because the ones that were emailed out still said 24, whereas the ones we had before said 25.
Okay. Danielle, thank you for updating it a year.
you're welcome.
Sorry for trying to have you update it 2 years.
It's okay. Just trying to rush it through. I get it.
Someone make a motion to adopt that?
Motion to
Resolution?
adopt?
I was gonna say, you made the motion, I'll second.
Perfect.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Chichillo?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor? Ms. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Fiamma?
Yes.
Ms. Sherlaw? Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh? Ms. Parker? Mr. Graham?
All right, moving along. Next order of business, approval of minutes from the December twelfth, 2024 regular meeting.
We're tabling
We're
that.
tabling that?
Mhm.
Okay,
I was gonna say, I didn't remember it coming out.
all right. So we're gonna table that till the next meeting, which is February 13th. Any correspondence? Any discussions and recommendations, 2024 Land Use Board Annual Report?
Yeah, so, the board has to do under the MLUL, it's got to do an annual report reviewing all its decisions in the prior year. Just summarization, actually, all my resolutions, I have the description in caps on the top. You can just put that in there, and then the board has to decide if it wants to make any recommendations for ordinance changes. So what the board has done in past years is ask the secretary to go through the resolutions, set the thing up. You could look at the form of last year's, and then form like a subcommittee to look at it, see if the subcommittee has any suggestions for recommendations, ordinance changes. If anyone does, then you would tell whoever
Okay,
who would be the on the committee, and then add that to the report if you want, or if you don't want just to make any suggestions, and you just say you don't have any suggested changes. And then you would bring it to the board next month for
Okay.
review and adoption. So you want to have it's got to be less than a quorum, so no more than 3 people on a annual report subcommittee.
okay. Do we have volunteers, annual report subcommittee?
Doesn't have to be 3, it might just be 1.
Okay, it might just be
Oh, there you go.
Joe. Perfect, Joe volunteers, and I will join Joe.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have 2. Unless anybody else, we could use a 3rd. Okay, sounds good. No public hearings tonight. Next, management of escrows. We're gonna table that too?
Yeah, we'll table
Okay,
that.
so we'll table that till next month. Affordable housing update, anything we need or?
No, the township committee is gonna have to adopt a resolution either accepting the DCA guidance number for their prospective needs or seeking to modify it, and I believe Kendra is in the process of putting a memo together, but that's for the township committee. The land use board is gonna be actively involved. Once that number is set, then Kendra is gonna be working with the board, because the board's gonna have to adopt a housing element and fair share plan to implement that. That housing element and fair share plan is gonna have to be submitted in June. So the township has until January 31 to either accept the DCA number. To give you an idea. This is,
We talked about the new.
yeah,
requirements
this
for
is the
low
fourth
income?
round, of affordable housing. So Greenwich's DCA number is 360.
300 more.
360 more, which is on the high side.
In the township.
In the township, last time, in the 3rd round, what the township decided to do was have these 200% affordable housing projects. So for example, if your number is 360 and Kendra's checking to see if it could be modified to be lower. And that's what she's going to be doing a memo to the township committee about. But let's assume for argument's sake that your number was 360. There's basically 2 ways to satisfy the number. One way, if you don't want to spend, or you don't want to have to guarantee the project, like remember this Ingerman project? Township had to guarantee that it got constructed. If they didn't get all that funding, the township would have had to bond to build that project. But by doing that, they didn't have to do inclusionary zoning. They didn't have to zone for 5 times the amount of the number. So if the number winds up, final number being 360, let's just round it down to make it easier for arithmetic for me. let's say the number was 300. If you wanted to not have to guarantee that the municipality would be responsible for bonding to have those 300 units of low and moderate income housing actually built, you'd have to zone for 5 times that amount. 5 times 300, 1,500 units with a 20% set aside, so the developer would have 1,200 market rate units and 300 affordable units. So Kendra again is looking into seeing the formula that the DCA used is from the new 2024 amendments to the Fair Housing Act. There's 3 factors that have to be considered. The first factor is the equalized non-residential valuation factor. For Greenwich, you were fortunate that your non-residential development was on the low side. You know those municipalities that did all the warehouses and everything? They got whacked for that reason. Blairstown's White Township 322, where you guys got, I don't want to say hurt a little, but what I think led some of you guys is the income capacity factor. They take a look at all the municipalities in your region, and you guys have a higher average income than a lot of these other municipalities, and the higher income also caused the number to go up. Now, what Kendra is focusing on is the third factor. It's very hard to find any mistakes or anything with the equalized non-residential valuation factor, because that basically goes through New Jersey Division of Local Government Services files. The income capacity factor is also tough to find mistakes. That's going through the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. And both of those are fairly up to date. The land capacity factor, how much developable land do you have? This is if you have a preserved farm, it doesn't count. But any other vacant land, including farmland, non-preserved farmland, they take a look at, and that also led to your number going up. You're a very big geographic municipality.
We got a lot.
Okay, however, the data that the DCA used for that, which was correct under the statute, was the land cover data from the Department of Environmental Protection, and the latest one they had was 2020, 4 years old. So for example, a couple things we found, the lot that the Michaels site is on, it was vacant in 2020. That was counted towards your number. The other site that's been picked out as a third round site, for whatever reason, huh?
You know, car dealership?
No, I always space on it. No, it's the other second 100% project, which hasn't, it came, their name is JERC.
Yeah, right.
But the developer behind that is,
Petrucci.
thank you, Petrucci. I always have a mental block. The Petrucci site, but that's part of your third round. So Kendra has some sites that she's looking at that should be excluded. Quite frankly, we don't know if that's gonna make that 360 number come down some, but this is the first phase. The second phase, the Housing Element Fair Share Plan in June, that's when you see if you're entitled to any adjustments, whether it's a vacant land adjustment or whether you have enough sewer. If you don't have enough sewer, you're gonna have that number adjusted. And that's some of the stuff that the Township Committee is looking at now with Kendra. And I want to leave it like that, Paul, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so
Until after the meeting, if anybody wants to.
as long as there's not more than a quorum.
Right.
So that is the affordable housing update. Let's give you an update on the 2 cases that are related to the Petrucci property. If you recall, Petrucci, they set up a developer for that site called JERC. I'd rather call it JERC than jerk. That's what they chose. So that site came in for a site plan approval before the board. And the board started the hearing, and the next door neighbor, Mr. Slack, said, wait a minute. I have a storm sewer easement that goes across that property. How are you gonna build that property? And they said, oh boy, that's a good point. They didn't realize that. And also, the township has sewer capacity for them, but the nearest sewer line is on Dowell's property, which is across the street, and it's a private line. So as part of the settlement agreement, the township agreed to institute an eminent domain taking proceeding for the storm sewer easement, because if they took it, they could then move it to go around the perimeter of the property. That one is now in discovery. It's the Slack is contesting it, and I think there's a case management conference on that next week. They have to work out what discovery they're gonna have. On the taking of the sewer line easement, that thing went to the condemnation commissioners, and basically the township won. They got a little increase in the money that the township said it was worth, and the Dowell just filed an appeal of that. So now that's going through discovery. So it doesn't look, this site, which was a third round site and should have been built by the end of the third round, which is July of 2025. I predict that that's not going to be held against the township, because you're doing everything that you're supposed to do to try to take those things. It's taking a lot of time. It's not your fault. This is conditions out of your control. So I am not too concerned that someone's going to come in and say you're violating the settlement agreement. Now, for the fourth round, what I'm going to see is if we can get any fourth round credits from that project, since it will not be built in the third round, but no promises on that. I gotta figure out, Kendra and I have to powwow and see if we can figure out if that's possible. And that's the affordable housing update.
Okay, any questions
Yeah,
further on
does
that?
anyone have any questions that I can answer at a public meeting?
All right,
Okay.
next board meeting is February the 13th, 7:30 PM. Motion to adjourn. Brian, second, Gary. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Okay. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. We stop the recording.